Hey guys, this is Rex and this is She Wolf Alchemy. And today is just a check-in day where we're going to talk about recognizing when you're in the wrong rooms. So, yeah, let's get into it. Let's talk about feeling overlooked, underpaid, or maybe underappreciated. Like, like the people around you just don't get you. And sometimes when this happens, we start to question ourselves. We start to question our worth. We start to question our value. But maybe we need to just examine, am I in the wrong place? There's a couple lies we often tell to ourselves when we're being undervalued. The experience can feel like you're invisible, like you have something that you have to prove. And the way we tend to cope with this a lot of times is we overextend ourselves to be seen. And then we start confusing effort with worth. Our instincts is to increase our performance instead of questioning our environment. So the next thing you know, we're walking around drained, we're walking around tense and on edge, and we're like bouncing our head against the wall, going, I'm doing more and more and more. Eventually they're going to notice, eventually they're going to care, eventually they'll see. But oftentimes all this leads to is burnout and stifling your confidence. And like, I get it. I get it. We are in an era of accountability, and I love that for us. And let's stay in there. But after you do the check in and say, okay, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? Am I doing it well? Is there more I'm supposed to be learning? Is there more better ways for me to show up? After you've done that and you realize, no, I'm doing the things, then you got to start looking at, okay, but am I in the right place to do these things? At some point, you got to shift the energy. This can be a transformation point. Asking yourself, what if that feeling isn't rejection? What if it's just misalignment? Look at it this way. A loud laugh in a quiet room, like a library, can feel like a problem. But a loud laugh in a stadium, in a comedy club fits right in. I remember, for example, and I'm probably going to butcher the schools, right? But I remember my dad telling me when I was in college and I was really mad about this thing that I didn't get into, right? I was actually very frustrated because someone I knew had got in and I knew I had a better GPA. I knew I had more experience and I was like and I knew I had better test scores than them. So I was like really confused. I was like really confused why I didn't get in. And I was talking to my dad about it. And of course, he told me some things that were like, this is the way it feels. But he also brought up to me that he remembered when he was in school and he got into this like university that was like well known. It probably wasn't Harvard, but let's say it was Harvard, okay, just for the sake of the story, because I was like all of 20, maybe 19 when me and him were having this conversation. And I was not paying as close attention as I need to. I also have horrible memory. So, for the sake of the story, let's say like Harvard. And he was telling me that how when he was going to get his MBA, or where he was or what he was originally going to do was get his MBA. He was applying for schools and he had got into this like well-known school. Everybody was so happy for him, excited for him. But the school he actually really wanted to get into, he did not get into. People were just like, bro, you got into the well-known school. You got into that school that has name recognition. And for my dad, he was like, yeah, for you guys, because the people he was talking to were people who weren't in his field. It was family members, it was friends, it was guys that were on the baseball team with him. And to them, they're like, yeah, yeah, you got to this big thing. That means you're a big deal and whatever, whatever. And for him, he was telling me, like, but the thing is, for the specific field I wanted to get into, there was another school that they were known as the top of the league when it came to this particular field, when it came to this particular league. And yeah, other people might look at this like super well known name school and think, yeah, you made it. You're a big time. But I know that that school isn't even in the top five when it comes to my field. That I know that school is what we consider the best when it comes to my particular area. And I wanted to get into the one that was the best in my particular area. And as my dad's telling me this story, of course, and I'm like 19, maybe 21. And I'm just like, okay. And while this wasn't the point of the story at the time, it's something I remember now when I'm thinking about the topic of sometimes being just misaligned. He said to me, Sometimes you'll have situations where it feels like the popular choice to choose. It feels like the popular place to be. It feels like, yeah, this is the one everybody knows. This is a big league thing, but it is not aligned with what you need. But it's not aligned for the specific area, the place you need to be. It's not even the top 10. It's not even the top 5. Yeah, people know the name, people know the area. It might have, name recognition, but for your specific calling, for the thing that you specifically need, it doesn't even feel like a good choice. It doesn't even feel like a good option. And sometimes that thing that we feel like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what got name recognition. This is what people know me for. Or this is this thing that's known for great things. Sometimes it's just missed the line. Sometimes that's not where you're supposed to be. And that was not the plane again of where he was going with that topic. But I always remember that story because I found that it applied to so many different areas of life, depending on how I'm looking at it. Sometimes you are just misaligned and not where you're supposed to be. Let me tell y'all about this. Oh my gosh. I think I told you guys about this last year. But last year, me and Neek went to Toronto for Caravana, right? And we had bought this party pass. One, because we forgot we were in our 30s and we really don't really care to party like that. But we had bought this party pass that got us into like 20 different parties around the city. And so, like, while we were there, we could just decide where we want to go on the flip. So, one, me not really thinking, wore heels the first 2 nights I was there before we even got to Carabana, right? So by the time we get to Carabana, I am like so exhausted because I've been walking around the city in heels trying to look cute in my little in my little skirts and dress outfits and everything. And so I'm like absolutely exhausted. And in our head, we're like, it's okay, we'll sleep, we'll take a Red Bull, and we'll get up and we'll party after Carabana that night. But for y'all that don't know, Nika's 38. I'm about to be 35. Like, we were not trying to party after because we were in a carnival. We went home and went to sleep. That was not the plan. That was not the plan. We went home and we were supposed to like get something to eat, take a little nappy nap. Because one thing about traveling with Neek is that you have to schedule in naps. Neek has been like this since I've known her. I've known Neek since I was like 19 or 20. It didn't matter. Neek has always been, we need a nap or I'm not going. Neek need a nap or I'm not going or I'm going to be grumpy. And so we're like, okay, we're going to go home. We're going to get this nap. And we did not wake up until like 10:30. And so we were like, "Ugh," we spent all this money and we went to none of the parties. And we're like, we got to get up. We got to go to this party. And so y'all know I live in Atlanta. Neek is also, me and Neek are both from Ohio. But like we both, she comes out to Atlanta like 4 or 5 times a year and kick it with me. And so we were like, okay, we're gonna get dressed because we bought these clothes, we bought the shoes. I paid extra for luggage because I wanted to look cute and all these things. And so we're like, we're gonna get up and we're gonna go out. And we're exhausted, we're so tired, and we're like, it's okay. We're gonna make this work. We're gonna get some Red Bulls, we're gonna get some coffee, we're gonna do the things. So we got dressed, and I had this like really cute black, super low cut V-neck dress, right? And some like 4 or 5 inch black heels. I'm already 5'7", so your girl coming in there like 6 foot. Like, we look good. And when I tell you, y'all, we got to this party, and this party was like hype. It was like really, really hype. People like, yo, this is the one you need to be at. And let me tell you, we came in looking like Atlanta. We were very out of place. When I tell you we were out of place, like we came in, and you know how you can notice people looking at you and you tell yourself, like, or at least I am. I always tell myself, like, girl, chill down. People are just looking your direction. Like, I always try to not to take that too personally. And so I like told myself things like, girl, child, they're probably just like looking your direction. You're walking in the entrance. Of course, we were gonna look because you want to see who's coming in, type of thing. As the night goes on, y'all, we stayed there maybe an hour because we are in our heels, we are in our little freakum dresses, we are like full face beat, get up. And when I tell you the people around us had like jean skirts and tank tops and flip flops. And we were like, oh, and the girls, they look beautiful. They look absolutely beautiful in their jean skirts and tank tops, but it made us realize, like, oh, we felt very, very out of place. We felt very, very out of place. And we felt very, very out of place. And we were like, yo, oh, this is not the scene. And the longer we stay there, the more uncomfortable we got because more people are coming. And the more we realize, like, yo, we're not fitting in. The more we realize, like, yo, this was supposed to be something very chill and relaxed. And like, we are not dressed, chilled, and relaxed at all. And the longer we stayed there, the more uncomfortable we got, the more we started to like notice that, like, oh, we are like very overdressed for where we are right now. And then also I think it was just a crowd. We weren't from the area, so we didn't know what type of crowd it was gonna be and so forth. But it was very, very like, oh, this is a different crowd than the crowd we were expecting type situation. And so we left after again, we were only there an hour. We got the Uber. We kind of just giggled in the car and was just like, okay, so like, yeah, we spent all this money. It was the only party we went to, and we felt so misaligned there. But we kind of laughed at it. We were not even mad. We were just like, you know what? It was better that we got out of there than we sit there feeling more and more uncomfortable, knowing this is not the vibe we wanted. This is not the vibe we were trying to get into. And then we just ended up like leaving, going to a nice restaurant and like getting dinner and like going back to the Airbnb, getting some wine and having like a really, really good night chilling together. And I bring that up to say that like sometimes you will be in your best dress and you will still be misaligned. Sometimes you will be the odd one out. And sometimes you convince yourself, like, no, I need to stay here. I need to stay here because I spent all this money, because I put in all this effort, I put in all this time, because this is the last thing on our agenda. If we don't go to this now, we don't go to this party now, it would have been a waste of money. We wouldn't have gone to any of them. And all you'll sit there and do is realize how misaligned you are. Us getting up and leaving, us going up and be like, all right, look, we look cute. Let's get some food. Let's get some wine. Me and you gonna jam out. Me and you gonna have a good time. Was the right decision for us in that moment. And sometimes that's going to be the right decision for you too. Sometimes, yep, you got on your best dress and it's just not the spot for you to be. Sometimes the vibe is off. Sometimes it's just not the place you want to be. And it doesn't mean it's not a good vibe. It's just not the vibe for you. And that is okay. But you have to learn the art of discernment and recognizing when you are in the wrong environment, not so much that you are the wrong identity. Now, as I'm talking about this, I want to be clear when we're talking about being misaligned, this can be work situations, this can be living situations, but this can also be relationships. This can be friendships. This can be groups of people that we're like, oh, this is supposed to be my team, and recognizing, damn, they don't really want me on the team. Okay, I gotta go get my own. This can be a career. One of the things I have noted when I see people in misalignment is like you're doing nothing wrong, but you have to keep over explaining yourself constantly. It's almost like it almost feels like people are purposely trying to misunderstand you. And here's the thing, a lot of times they're not. A lot of times they're not. You are just speaking another language. I remember I had a homegirl. I know, I promise y'all, this is, I promise this was not supposed to be a back in my day type episode, but I just keep getting like memories pop up. But I remember I had a friend who did a very particular type of specialty work, a very particular type of spiritual work. And for a long time, like she didn't really pop off. And for a while, she didn't really pop off. And she had just a particular thing, a particular video go viral. And she gained a whole bunch of followers very, 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 very quickly. And for a time, she had those followers and, she was able to get monetized on social media. She was able to get a whole bunch of things popping off for her. And then slowly, she had the numbers, but she wasn't having the engagement. And slowly she started realizing, like, she had some people saying stuff about her or whatever. And me and her were having a conversation. I had to tell her, like, yo, before me and you met and became friends, like, I had actually came across her stuff. I had actually came across her videos. I came across her stuff. And I told her it felt like I couldn't understand anything you were saying. It literally felt like she was speaking another language. Every now and then I would come across her videos and I was just like, okay, like I didn't get it. Like I did not get it. And then slowly over time, as I start having certain, experiences and work happening in my life, I came across her stuff again and I started getting it. Videos I'd already seen. I got it. It just clicked for me. And then by the time me and her actually like got to know each other and meet each other, we were on the same like wavelength about a lot of stuff. And I remember telling her, like, look, you got your viral hits, you got your money, girl, take that money, invest it, do something positive with it. But don't be sad that now that same level of popularity isn't staying or following because what you're saying, I don't think is supposed to be heard by everybody. And I think the thing is, you had one particular message I think is really important for a lot of people to know, a lot of people get and grasp onto. But that was just one part of your message. The rest of your message is not for everybody. The rest of the stuff that you're learning, you're experiencing, you're growing with, everybody is not going to catch on to. And you have to be okay with that. And you have to be okay with that. It's not that people are purposely misconstruing your words. It's that for those who aren't supposed to hear it, they're not going to hear it no matter how hard they listen. And I explained to her, like, again, the first time I came across your stuff, I was on a whole different wavelength. And again, I was like, what in the world? Like, and here's the thing, it wasn't that she was saying something so crazy. It's just like, no matter how much I listened, it did not make sense to me. Just did not make sense to me. It almost sounded like gibberish to me. And just later, as I had personal changes happen, I start catching a different wavelength and I start learning certain things and new things and just growing in certain areas and then coming across her stuff again. Again, videos I had seen before all of a sudden clicked. It clicked. It made sense. I could hear it clearly. And I think can be a big sign of like sometimes you're just not in the right place. You're not with the right people. You're not in the right crowd. It's not that your identity is wrong, it's that your environment is, especially when you feel like, again, it feels like I have to keep over explaining. I'm never really heard no matter how much I speak. It seems like it's they're not catching it. I think another thing like this is when your strengths are being treated as inconveniences. Another story time. So y'all know I am not religious at all, but I grew up in a religious household. My dad's a pastor. My mom used to be a pastor as well. Um, but also, like, so when I went away to college, I was still going to church by myself. I wanted to find my own church, blah, blah, blah. And I remember as I was slowly moving away from the church, I was going to one particular church and they're great people, amazing little family. But I remember one thing in particular that was happening is I kept we kept having this like weird thing happen in church. The church that we went to at that time was really big on like pushing marriage and like that was a huge thing for them on the girls. And I remember we used to go to Bible study and we'll have this thing where you talk about something good that happened for you that week. You could just speak up, give your testimony, and then we will start Bible study. And I remember I had got on the dean's list that semester. And I was really happy and I was really excited to share because I hadn't really had news to share the last couple of times. So I remember it came my turn and I got up and I was like, oh, I made the dean's list. I'm so proud of myself. I've been working really hard on my grades and blah, blah, blah. And when I tell you the way you could hear a pin drop in that room, and there was one person who was like one of the deacons, deaconess or whatever, sighed and rolled her eyes and went anyways, and then told the next person to go on. And I remember because I was young, I was like 18, 19 years old. And I remember that really, really like broke my heart because I was so excited to share this. And then later, I had somebody that was a part of the group that I was cool with. And she kind of took me aside and she was like, yeah, girl, over here they kind of get, iffy about you. You know, they want to hear about your husband. They want to hear you found your husband. We know you're smart, but like that's not really the emphasis here. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I had to go talk to my dad. Again, my dad's a whole pastor, but my dad has always been big on get your education. He has always been team. I don't care what you do. You gonna get your education. And my dad also did not help in that situation. But this was a very particular denomination. He was like, I don't even know why you took your ass over there anyway. Anywho, but it was one of those things to let me know, oh, I am not in the right place. Like I want to celebrate all of our good news. I I don't want to be punished. I don't want to be punished or treated like an outsider for strengths. I don't want to be pulled to the side to tell me, hey, that's not what we're focusing it on. To be educated is a strength. To be able to retain and apply knowledge is a strength. Butts. Anyways, one thing I think one thing to keep in mind is when my strengths are being treated like an inconvenience. When I'm feeling drained instead of like expanded, when you're being praised for things that aren't even your real gifts, while your real gifts are being shunned, where it feels like you have to perform instead of just be. If you are in a space where you feel like you got to keep giving a PowerPoint presentation on why you matter, you're in the wrong room. And here's the thing, I get leaving things is hard for people. I get it. It's not that easy for most folks. And I understand that. And I get why, and how that can happen here. I have had moments in my life where I definitely stayed longer than I should have in certain positions and areas where I've definitely probably stayed longer than I would have liked. In hindsight, I can look back and go, girl, what do you mean you gave that another minute or chance? So I understand it. But I think when it comes to staying in the wrong rooms, a lot of times it's because we confuse familiarity with safe alignment because it's familiar. So, and it feels safe. I know what I can expect here, so I must be aligned because I know what to do here. But here's the thing, for some people, feel like, oh, everything flows so easy, so this must be aligned. But again, we've talked about this in other episodes. You sometimes you ask yourself, is it flowing easier or is it just the comfort of knowing that it flows? And what I mean by that is sometimes we tell ourselves, well, everything is so good, it flows so easy. And it's like, it's not flowing easy. And it's like, no, easy would mean like you will be able to show up as you, feel understood, and have people support and back you versus what has actually happened, which is just flowing, which means they allow you to show up, you're allowed to be there, and no one really bars you from being there. And so, yeah, it just flows. It's not necessarily easy, it just flows. And sometimes we confuse that with, again, alignment because I'm allowed to be here. Oh, specifically, I know we've been talking more so like destiny and work and groups, but I want to say, especially, this is something that can happen in relationships where it's just familiar. You know what to do here. You know what to expect. You know what's expected of you. That doesn't necessarily feel aligned. And I want to be clear going back again, for some people, that is what they want. There are some people like that is your life path. And there is nothing wrong with that, where that is your life path. And I won't push you on it. I think all of us have different types of paths. For me, I like passionate love. I didn't even know they made people like you type of love. And that means that the relationships that I have been in and been serious in have always been relationships where that have grown me. I come out completely transformed. They come out completely transformed. It is, I need you to teach me something. I need to learn something from you. I need you to learn something from me. I get very, very particular about, am I just here because it feels safe and familiar, or is this actually feeling aligned? And when it does not, I am ready to go. But I get that for some people, they're like, no, that actually sounds terrifying. I do not want anyone to transform me. I do not want to be transformed by anything. I want to know that we have sex on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I want us to go to Applebee's on Fridays. And I want that to be our routine for the next 30 years. By all means, if that is your happiness and your peace, I will not shake it. But I do ask you to examine, are there areas in your life, though, where you keep calling it good because it's familiar and you're not really checking in with yourself as this familiar, holding you in bondage of mediocrity and not allowing you to reach your true potential of greatness. That's all I'm asking. I think another reason why we see people stay in this is that, again, there's that fear of starting over. I have already put so much time and effort into this. I I am at this age, I'm at this point. I remember how hard it was to even get into this. Do I want to start over? Sometimes we create trauma bonds with environments that mirror old wounds. Gosh, I know one thing that irks me so much. It irks me. It's a reoccurring thing. I'm sure this has happened to you guys too, where you have worked at a place where people are miserable. People are miserable. And then you're like, oh, well, let's leave. Let's go. And you'll look and these people will be miserable. They're like, I don't make the money I need to make here. I hate the hours. It is affecting my mental health. It's affecting my physical health. And then they won't leave. They won't even start a plan. You can give them ideas to leave. You can show them like, hey, my cousin hiring, or I just got put on. You I can recommend you. They pay better, the leave is better, it's more flexible, and they will not leave. They will not leave. Oh my gosh, this is something I've seen happen since I entered the work fields at 15. Just people absolutely miserable where they are, not getting their needs met, not being happy, and still feeling the need to stay right there. Because sometimes we form bonds with environments that mirror old wounds. If one of my old wounds is that I have to take what I get and feel grateful for it, well, then when you're in this place where you aren't being paid enough, it is harmful to you physically and emotionally where you feel like I'm so tired by the time I leave here, I don't even have time for my own life. Well, kind of going back to what we said earlier, it feels familiar. And so we convince ourselves to stay. And familiar doesn't always mean good. And lastly, I think one of the biggest things we see is sometimes people just want validation from people who will never give it to them. People whose validation actually mean nothing at all, by the way. We want it, we crave it, we feel I can't leave until I get that. And they have no plans on ever giving it to you. Sometimes we don't actually want to be valued. We want to be chosen by the people who didn't choose us before. And that type of thinking and motivation keeps us stuck in bondage to things that will never free us and will always feel just slightly off. And the issue with this is that there is a cost to staying in the wrong place. You start to question your worth. You start to shrink your personality, your gifts, your talent. You usually end up overworked and under receiving. You disconnect from the version of you were meant to be. The longer you stay in a place where they can't see you, the more you start to become someone unrecognizable to yourself. And that's a cost that I don't think is worth it. So that's why I'm asking you guys to maybe take a second and think about choosing alignment over validation. The goal is not to convince people of your value. The goal is to place yourself where your value is obvious, where alignment feels like ease, where you don't have to perform to belong. When you're in the right spaces, it will reflect you back to yourself. So let's talk about moving differently. The things that you can do is one, take a breath, ground yourself, and then start asking yourself and noticing where you feel naturally received. And how much time and effort am I giving to those places or those people? Pull your energy back from spaces that require you to overexert yourself. You might be like, but girl, that's my job. Or girl, that's my kids. Yeah. Oh, well, when it comes to that kids things, you signed up for that. My bad, girl. Yes, but girl, that's my husband. And I hear you. I hear you. But you can always come up with a plan. Not with the kids. With the kids, you stuck. With the kids, whatever being that you pray to them, and you go with that. You know, as long as it's safe and does not put other people in harm's way. Let me clarify. But in the areas where you do have changeover, you do have changeover staying in that relationship. You do have changeover staying in that job environment. You do have changeover shrinking yourself to remain friends with those people who has never been loyal to you a day, who are not loyal to you, even if they were in the past, they currently are not now. Pull your energy back. It might not be as quick as, oh, I heard this episode, let me get it, plan in action. You might need to take some time. You might really need to think about, okay, what does pulling my energy back look like? Or what ways can I maintain the parts of this that I need to while finding the place I need to find? Or it might be, okay, but if I pull myself back, I don't even have no place to go. All right, so it might start with figuring out, okay, what is the bright room? How do I find my way into it? You can plan. You don't have to do it all now, but you need to start at least on the planning part and slowly moving your steps to doing the actions. A lot of times we get caught up on the, I'm gonna, and then it's 10 years later and you're still talking about waiting for the right time to start step one. We only have so much time. You are in charge of what you do with it. And at some point, you have to recognize when the step is going to be scary, but the step is necessary regardless. And lastly, I would say stop auditioning for roles that you know you've already outgrown and start letting people misunderstand you without feeling the need to correct it. Learn to let people misunderstand you. It's okay. Learn to stop auditioning for roles you outgrown. There's a new role waiting. Pull back your energy. Notice where you feel naturally received and where you don't. And then pull back from those spaces that require overexertion just for you to simply exist there. Remind yourself that some doors don't open because they're not yours, not because you weren't good enough to walk through them. So, if you've been feeling undervalued, I need you to stop internalizing that. More than likely, you're just a high valued person in a low stakes room, and they don't know what to do with you. You might be a high value person in a low recognition environment. And the moment you move to where you're actually supposed to be, that is when everything changes. So, that's all I have for you today in today's episode. I do hope you guys enjoy. We'll have a new episode for you guys coming next Sunday. Be sure to follow us and like us on Instagram at She Wolf Alchemy. Be sure to leave us a review wherever you're listening. Leave us some review with words. And again, we'll have a new episode for you next Sunday. Bye.